I see what it could be eternity, or just a week. We know our chemistry is off the chain, it's perfect now.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portal podcast with Bob Colbert. I'm Bob Colbert, your host. We're in the ancient Roman Rome, and our current study is the Roman Forum. This is episode 5 of 20 of the Roman Forum. Today's topic of discussion in detail will be on the Temple of Castor and Pollux. And yeah, it was a little exciting that happened today. I was running a little bit late getting here to the studio. It actually rained, and this is the first time it's rained since May. So we don't get much rain in LA that much, or at least where I'm living and stuff. So that was interesting. We also had the launch of the SpaceX Starship IFT-2. That's if you remember back in April, they did a orbital launch attempt on the Starship. It failed, and it damaged the launch pad to a great degree. And so they've been spending the last few months rebuilding the launch pad, putting in a water deluge system, doing the booster and the Starship second stage would not separate, so they put a hot staging ring in there as well. Well, that occurred today, and so if you'll join us for the Table Talk podcast at 10 o'clock, I'll show that, the Starship launching. I won't give details. That's not what we're here for. We're in ancient Rome, and we're talking about the Temple of Castor and Pollux. So let's go ahead and get started with the video, and then I'll get back with the in the topic.
The Temple of Castor and Pollux is an ancient temple in the Roman Forum. It was originally built in gratitude for victory at the Battle of Lake Regulus in 495 BC. Castor and Pollux were the Dioscuri, the twins of Gemini, the twin sons of Zeus or Jupiter and Leda. Their cult came to Rome from Greece via Magna Graecia and the Greek culture of southern Italy. The octa-style temple was peripheral, with 8 Corinthian columns at the short sides and 11 on the long sides. There was a single cella paved with mosaics. The podium measures 32 meters by 49.5 meters, or 105 feet by 162 feet, and 7 meters, or 23 feet in height. The building was constructed in opus caementicium and originally covered with slags of tufa.
And we're back. Thought I would change up a little bit on the scene. If you remember, this is the Roman Forum in its heyday. A little bit bigger picture of me. So what we will be talking about today is the Temple of Castor. Let me pull that up. One moment, please. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, so this is let me move over out of the way a little bit here. So this is the Temple of Castor and Pollux right here. And if you remember back 2 episodes ago when we were looking at the Sketchfab model, I had thought that it had 4, but I guess I was wrong. So yeah, this is the Temple of Castor Pollux. And if you remember, it was on the far side. Let's just call it the north side of where the Colosseum was, where you saw the 3 columns there. So this is known as the Temple of Castor and Pollux. And let me read a little bit about it and stuff while we're talking about. So the Temple of Castor and Pollux, in Italian, I'll try it, Tempio di Dioscuri. And this is an ancient temple in the Roman Forum. Of course, it's in Rome. It was originally built in gratitude for victory at the Battle of Lake Regillus in 495 BC. Castor and Pollux, Greek Polydeuces, were the Dioscuria and the twins of Gemini, the twin sons of Zeus, Jupiter, and Leda. Their cult came to Rome from Greece via the Magna Graecia. Excuse me just a second. Coffee from Starbucks. And you can tell it's getting Christmas time because so now you can see the Christmas. So yeah. So their cult came to Rome from Greece via Magna Graecia and the Greek culture of southern Italy. The Roman temple this Roman temple is one of a number of known Dioscuria temples remaining from the antiquity period. As far as founding, the last king of Rome, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, and his allies, the Latins, waged war on the infant Roman Republic before the battle. The Roman dictator Aulus Postumius Alivus Regillianus vowed to build a temple to the Dioscuria, Castor, and Pollux if the Republic were victorious. According to legend, Castor and Pollux appeared on the battlefield as 2 able horsemen in aid of the Republic. Let me pull it out where I can see it. Sorry about that. Where they, after the battle had been won, they again appeared on the Forum in Rome, watering their horses at the spring of Juturna, thereby announcing their victory. The temple stands on the supposed spot of their appearance. One of Postumius' sons was elected the Duumvir in order to dedicate the temple on July 15th, the Ides of July, in 484 BC. And as far as history, during the Republican period, the temple served as a meeting place for the Roman Senate. And from the middle of the 2nd century BC, the front of the podium served as a speaker's platform, like you would see in our Senate or, in Congress podium. During the speaker's platform. During the imperial period, the temple housed the office for the weights and measures. and was a depository for the state treasury. Chambers located between the foundation piers of the temple were used to conduct this business based on fines from the drains. One of the chambers was likely used by Denos. The archaic temple was completely reconstructed and enlarged in 117 BC by Lucius Caecilius Metellus Demaliticus after the victory over the Dalmatians. Gaius Verus again restored this second temple in 73 BC. Commemorating the initial victory at Lake Regillus, a large cavalry parade was held each year on July the 15th and featured as many as 5,000 young men that carried shields and spears. Two of the young men riding white horses led the parade, and these were represented by Castor and Pollux. In 14 BC, a fire that ravaged major parts of the Forum destroyed the temple, and Tiberius, the son of Livia by previous marriage and adopted son of Augustus and the eventual heir to the throne, rebuilt it. Tiberius's temple was dedicated in 6 AD. The remains are visible today are from the temple of Tiberius, except the podium, which is from the time of Metellus. In conjunction with this imperial rebuilding, the cult itself became associated with the imperial family. Initially, the twins, Castor and Pollux, were identified with Augustus's intended heirs, Gaius and Lucius Caesar. After their premature deaths, however, the association with Castor and Pollux passed to Tiberius and his brother Drusus. According to Edward Gibbon, the Temple of Castor served as a secret meeting place for the Roman Senate. Frequent meetings of the Senate were also reported by Cicero. Gibbon said the Senate was roused to rebellion against Emperor Maximus Thrax and in favor of Emperor Gordian I and his son Gordian II at the Temple of Castor in 237 AD. If still in use by the 4th century, the temple would have been closed during the persecution of pagans in the late Roman Empire. The temple was possibly already falling apart in the 4th century when a wall in front of the Lucus Juturnae was erected from reused material. Nothing is known of its subsequent history at that point, except that in the 15th century, only 3 of the columns of its original structure were still standing. The street running by the building was called Via Trium Columnarum. In 1760, the conservatory, having found the columns in a state of imminent collapse, erected scaffolding and effected repairs. Both the Piranesi and the young English architect George Dance the Younger were able to climb up and make accurate measurements. Dance had a model cast from the finest example of the Corinthian order, perhaps in the whole world, as he reported that to his father. Today, the podium survives without the facing, as do the 3 columns and a piece of the entablature, one of the most famous features in the Forum. The octa-style temple was peripteral with 8 Corinthian columns at the short side and 11 columns on the long side. So there was 8 columns in the front and 11 columns along the sides. So it was a pretty long building, looking at the width of the columns there, assuming that's the 3 of the 8 in the front there. The podium measured 32 meters by 49.5 meters. That's 105 feet by 162 feet, and 7 meters or 23 feet in height. The building was constructed in opus caementicium and originally covered with slabs of tuff, which were later then removed. According to ancient sources, the temple had a single central stairway to access the podium. But further excavations have identified 2 side stairs as well. In archaeology, the temple complex was excavated and studied between the years 1983 and 1989 by a joint archaeological mission of the Nordic academies in Rome, led by Inga Nilsson and B. Paulson. Other temples of Castor and Pollux. The Roman temple is one of a number of known discourier sites remaining from the antiquity period. Among the others are the Baroque Basilica Church of San Polio Maggiore in Naples. It's built on the site of a temple of Castor and Pollux. Its porch and pediment survived till 1688 in Sanio earthquake. Only 2 of those Corinthia columns remain today, incorporated into the facade of the church. The vanished Anakin near the Acropolis in Athens, Greece, was a discourier temple. Writing in about 150 A.D., Pausanias described it as ancient. Pausanias identified another temple in Argos depicting Castor and Pallas, their sons Anaxius and Manassianus, and their wives Hilaria and Phoebe. The extensive ruins of the Valley de Templi in Agrigento, Sicily, included the site of another temple of the discourier. In his 1988 description of the discourier temple in ancient Greece, colonial city of Naucratis in Egypt, Ernest Arthur Gardner remarked that such temples were common enough to have a characteristic orientation. Temples to the gods tended to face east. Temples to heroes and demigods, such as Castor and Pollux, faced the west. All right, so that's another reading. And again, to the right, this is the Temple of Castor and Pollux that we discussed today. I tried to find a video on it. I may continue to try that and bring it up the next week. Or I just may move on. So sorry for being a little bit late. I had went to get some coffee from Starbucks, and I didn't realize that it had rained, so traffic was a little bit lengthy, and I just ran just slightly a little bit late. You'll probably notice I also fixed the audio. Hopefully it sounds better. I mean, before it was sounding like I was in a chamber, bath, or a hallway or something, and so I kind of made it warmer. So I'll let you review the episode 5 again, and I'll see you on the other side. Oop. One moment.
The Temple of Castor and Pollux is an ancient temple in the Roman Forum. It was originally built in gratitude for victory at the Battle of Lake Regulus in 495 BC. Castor and Pollux were the Dioscuri, the twins of Gemini, the twin sons of Zeus or Jupiter and Leda. Their cult came to Rome from Greece via Magna Graecia and the Greek culture of southern Italy. The octa-style temple was peripheral, with 8 Corinthian columns at the short sides and 11 on the long sides. There was a single cella paved with mosaics. The podium measures 32 meters by 49.5 meters, or 105 feet by 162 feet, and 7 meters, or 23 feet in height. The building was constructed in opus caementicium and originally covered with slags of tufa.
So yeah, today we discussed the Temple of Castor and Pollux. This is all that remains that you see there on my left and your right. So there's just 3 columns left. It had 8 columns in the front and 11 columns deep. And so it was a fairly big building at the time. All that remained is the podium and the columns, and that's it. So, alrighty. Well, I guess next week is Thanksgiving. And so I wish each and every one of you, my fans, if you're listening, and future fans of the podcast, I wish you a great Thanksgiving. Please be safe. I'll let you know in Los Angeles, we had an unfortunate event where there was a pallet fire. Apparently in Los Angeles, it's not unusual to find a pallet company, wood pallet, storing their pallets under a bridge. So this Highway 10 is a critical highway that, in Los Angeles downtown, and so it has affected millions of people. Unfortunately, so it was determined to have been started by arson. The investigation continues that it as to who the arsonist source was. I'll just let you know that there are homeless encampments underneath that bridge. They tend to have fires occasionally to keep warm, and stoves, propane, stoves to warm their food and things like that. So it's happened before. I'm not saying it's homeless people that are the source of the arson, but it's a possibility. There could be other sources. But yeah, so that really has caused an interruption. Again, at 10 o'clock on the Table Talk, we will be reviewing or watching the latest SpaceX Starship launch. They're trying to get their Starship into orbit. This is the second attempt. The first attempt blew up by the flight termination system in the course of its launch. And it also caused a great damage on the launch pad and the surrounding area of the launch pad and the facilities. So over the last few months, that occurred in April of this year. And so they have been trying to get that back in shape. They had to wait on the FAA to do a safety investigation to reissue a license. That also brought in several other agencies like Fish and Wildlife Agency. They had to do a review. A lot of people had to do reviews. They got their launch license this week late. And so they were originally planning to launch on Friday of this week, but they had to change out the actuators on the grid fins that are on top of the booster. They have 4 grid fins. They replaced 3 of those. Only one was not working right, but they decided to go ahead and do the 3. So, yeah, please join us for that. That's very exciting. If you wondering why I have an interest in there, I'm an aerospace engineer. I work Special Operation Forces projects for Lockheed Martin. And I also worked for NASA for many years in all types of programs. And so I have an interest. I'm an aerospace engineer. So I have great interest in that and rocketry in general. So, yeah, please join us for that. I'm excited about it. I apologize again for being just slightly late on getting this podcast started. Really couldn't be helped. A lot of traffic because of the rain. So wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful Saturday. We're still in the thick of college football. It is winding down. I believe next week is the last regular season games, and then we'll start the playoffs and then be down selected to 4 for the national championship. Hoping Alabama's one of those. Doesn't look like it. They're still in 8th place. I graduated from the University of Alabama, so I'm an alumni there. So I'm Roll Tide, Crimson Tide. And so, yeah, I'm hopeful, but at number 8, with none of the other teams as yet kind of losing to allow them to move up, we're kind of stuck in the 8th place position. So we'll see. But again, have a great Thanksgiving holiday. I'll do my best to do a podcast next week, but it is Thanksgiving, so I may take off. So I haven't decided yet. But if you don't see me next weekend, you can catch me on the following weekend with episode 6. We'll continue that. Yeah. So take care, my friends. Join us at Table Talk at 10 o'clock for Starship launch. Take care.
What you do, you into me, but I can't let it go so easily. Until I see what it could be eternity or just a week. We know our chemistry is off the chain. It's perfect now, but will it change? This ain't a yes, this ain't a no. Just do your thing, we'll see how it goes. Oh, rush it, don't succeed. Yeah, dust yourself off and try again. Can dust it off and try again.